Today's Morning Coffee Vinyl Side, Jim Foster, Power Lines, 1986. Today's Morning Coffee Vinyl Side is the second Vancouver vinyl album to be presented as part of our new Van-Tastic Vinyl special feature, a way to highlight both old and new Vancouver-related vinyl albums and give a little love back to the city and the people of the city that made and make the music we love. This album was, like our first selection, 12 Inches of Teen Angel from Teen Angel and the Rockin' Rebels, partially recorded at Vancouver's Mushroom Studios with some additional recording done at Ocean Sound and Little Mountain Sound, where it was mixed by Bob Rock. These names and studios are of note in that they will reappear over and over again in this series as we get deeper into the history of Vancouver vinyl. Jim Foster made his musical bones with the late 70s Calgary-based rock band Fosterchild before going solo in the 80s when the band dissolved. Fosterchild was primarily a Western Canadian act, though they did have a couple of songs that charted nationally in Canada, and in many ways they served as a farm team for folks, notably Vern Wills, Doug Johnson of Loverboy, and Foster, who all went on to have fairly substantial but different careers in the Canadian music industry. On the production side of things, this album was top-loaded, with Chilliwack's Bill Henderson sharing production credits with Bob Rock, Walter Stewart, and Foster himself. Buried in the liner notes are references to contributors like Paul Hyde of the Paolas and Matt Frenette, also of Loverboy, and a lot of other names of note as well. When you just consider the release date, it's hard to reconcile what RCA and Jim's management team thought Jim could achieve here, given the musical landscape at the time. Vancouver's Bryan Adams, hot off his breakthrough success of 1983's Cuts Like a Knife and his 1984 follow-up Reckless, was shaping up to be one of the biggest artists of the decade. Kim Mitchell dropped Akimbo Alogo in '84, sending us all out for a soda with his infectious pop hooks and monster guitar playing, and eagerly awaiting what would be his '86 follow-up, Shaken Like a Human Being. Honeymoon Suite were rockin' Canada with New Girl Now in '84, and Gowan, now with Styx, broke through with A Criminal Mind. I suspect Foster's people were actually inspired by Corey Hart's 1983 album First Offense and its smash hit Sunglasses at Night and his '85 follow-up Boy in the Box. Adams and Hart were both all over Canadian charts in '85, and I think all eyes were on Jim Foster's X-Ray Eyes to be the hit that would make him the West Coast Corey. But the song and the very purposely constructed video for it just weren't up to the task. Despite his relatively young, almost impish-looking face, Foster was suffering from a pretty obvious case of male pattern baldness. He was never going to be a pop idol on a poster in a 16-year-old girl's bedroom like Corey was. And Mitchell was already rocking the hat and had way better guitar chops, so Foster's options on that front were limited too. But it was really the songs and the lackluster, almost pedestrian production that hurt the album. There just wasn't anything there that was compelling, particularly considering what else was going on at the time. Even with CanCon guaranteeing some airplay and video play, there just wasn't any meat on the bone. And when you consider that Bon Jovi was resident at Little Mountain Sound through the first half of '86 recording Slippery When Wet, and that it and Foster's Power Lines were released around the same time, it's pretty clear. Jim never had a chance. Is this a bad album? It's not so much bad as innocuous. It could be the soundtrack to any '80s direct-to-video B-movie. The real question is, what did they think it was at the time? And what went into it being recorded and released in the first place? On that end, I suspect that funding had already been secured, so it was happening, and that favors were owed and camaraderie saw the project through to completion. But there were also some clues here that speak to the possibility of lengthy delays, and possibly doubts and hesitation, The songs themselves being copywritten in '84 makes me wonder if that's when they actually did the sessions, and if they struggled through this release, or that it was not prioritized by those that they were reliant on to make it happen. Who knows? This was pretty much the end of Foster's solo career as a rock pop artist. He'd go on to record other things, even joining the venerable One Horse Blue, a country band out of Edmonton at the end of their run in 1993. So I guess you could say that he finally found a hat that fit him, a cowboy hat. In fact, he had a bit of a Dwight Yoakam thing going on, so he was probably in pretty good company. Now check out the video for X-Ray Eyes on YouTube to get a better feel for what I'm talking about here, and most likely I've only touched the surface of what really went on. Maybe these will get more meta and detailed as we go through the series. I have no idea. We'll just have to let it play out. Now, if you've got any old Vancouver vinyl you'd like to see profiled, please feel free to reach out. This has been a Vancouver Van-Tastic Vinyl exclusive from Morning Coffee Vinyl Side, and I'm Rob, signing off.